which I think was, sort of more asshole-ish or shitbaggish of Lawrence, where he says to his friend, I'm a good dude. I'm trying to be there for my kid. Other dudes would have bounced. That is a shit line. That is a shit line. And I'm so tired of hearing people say that shit. I'm so tired of hearing dudes say that shit. That is a shit line. I'm here for my kid. I'm taking care of my kid. Other dudes would have bounced. I'm doing the right thing. That shit is fucking bullshit. I'm so sick of hearing that. Rachel.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I'm taking care of my kids. I'm a good dude. Other dudes would have bounced.
You don't get credit for things that you're already supposed to be doing, Like, so what? You might be taking care of your kid. You're supposed to be taking care of your kid. And what somebody else is not doing have to do with you? And the baby is not that old. How old is the baby? Maybe 3 months at this point? Calm down. You got 18 more years of this. You really not that great at it at all in the very beginning.
Single dad, why you mad? Single dad, why you mad?
Single dad,
Why are you mad?
single dad, why you mad?
Single dad, why you mad? Single dad, why you mad?
Single dad, why you mad?
Look at Mother Earth.
This is called It's a Bad Hair Day, okay?
Mother Earth. Let me tell you, Rachel and I were having breakfast at IHOP in her neighborhood. So she's got her hair done, just got it pressed. The edges was tight. The baby hairs was tight, right? And then Rachel's got a good gray color going on. You would think she had to put that color in. So the waitress comes over and she says, I love your hair. And I said, excuse me, miss, but that's not dyed in, okay? That's not grade number 402. That is her color.
He did.
But it's funny because that's a thing now, though, right?
It really is.
How many women are going out and getting their hair dyed gray,
yes,
with shades of gray?
I had to embrace it, so it made it easier now that it's kind of like a trend.
All right, so Rachel's here.
Yes.
Clark is here. Single Dad Why You Mad is here. David is here. Let's do some quick, and I don't even know if it's going to be quick because I got a list.
Does your audience know about your purchase?
So we're going to do all of that.
Okay.
Let's do all of that.
Sorry.
Did you hear the man say he got a list?
I got a list.
I didn't know that was on a...
No, I'll tell you. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 long. So I'm going to go last. Clark, what's been going on with you since June, if you think?
No, it's been a lot, man. Let's see. From a daddy standpoint, just the kids getting reacclimatized to being in school in person, being overwhelmed with workloads at various levels, just being stressed out. All of my kids, to some degree, have some level of anxiety, and depression and so forth. So trying to manage that, trying to figure out how that impacts them and their school lives. From a personal note, just dealing with trying to juggle work, trying to juggle daddy stuff, studying for an exam for work. And I have not been in school brain since, it's been a while since I've been in school. So to be studying again and trying to prepare for something else, it's just another thing to juggle. And then that's not even including community stuff that I'm doing too.
Rachel.
Yes.
How have you been?
I'm good, David. I'm good. For the most part.
that was hesitant as fuck, Rachel. Can I just say that?
Well, because okay.
Go ahead, Rachel.
You know what I'm going through, David. I started therapy.
Yes. Yes.
Wait. Like therapy, like sitting with somebody and letting them in?
Yeah, I've been seeing a therapist since April of this year. Wow. I think the last time I talked with you guys on the air, I had mentioned that, I've always struggled with my relationship with my mom. Yeah. And it's been tough. Therapy has been tough, but I wouldn't change it. I'm glad that I, started seeing someone. So, and then my son is in Rutgers.
Oh, look at him.
That bill was like, David, remember how I had to go down there and pay that bill for the first semester and the things that went on between me and father in terms of paying for the bill. And then, work. I also took a course last month and it kicked my butt. It's really hard going back to school and taking up something that you know you need, but it's so boring, it's hard to retain. And taking tests every week, it's
it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah.
And your attention span, at least I find for me, my attention span is not what it used to be.
Yeah. It's hard for me to retain stuff if I don't find it interesting.
So what about you, David? You over there mad quiet. What have you been up to?
I was hoping somebody was going to ask me, David, so what the fuck is going on with you? A lot. So last year in March, I knew of a lottery that was coming out to purchase a home. New building going up in the middle of Harlem, premier building. So I waited for it to come out. When it came out, immediately wrote in for an application. They sent it out to me. And I actually mailed it in probably a week late. But they took it anyway because COVID hit as soon as I mailed it in. COVID hit like the next day or the next week or whatever else it is, and everything was shut down. Oh, I might have even mailed it after they shut down everything and said to myself, well, it's COVID. How mad they're going to be at people for turning stuff in late. They called me in November. They pre-qualified me before the end of the year. You know, I filled out loan applications and all that other sort of stuff and sent them all my paperwork and my deposits and all that other sort of stuff by March or April. And I closed July 28th. So I am a home debtor and my son Miles will be a home owner. Because it was a lottery apartment, they give you a $25,000 grant toward buying it, and you get a deep discount. You buy it for a third of the market price, right? So the appraisal probably came back at somewhere in the neighborhood of $900,000. I got it for $325,000. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. So I got to hold on to it for 25 years, which is basically me passing it down to Miles. And you know, when Miles turns 30, he can do whatever he wants with it. So I'm actually in the middle of putting together a will and a trust and all that other sort of stuff for obvious reasons and for some not so obvious reasons. I dare somebody to ask me not so obvious.
Well, so I was about to say, most of us can tell what the obvious reasons for having a will and a trust would be. What's the not so obvious?
So his mom can't get a greedy hands on my fucking money.
That's usually the reasons for a trust, particularly like if you have younger kids.
Yeah. So in August, right after we closed, we planned a trip to Cancun. We actually planned it before that. Nickelodeon had a new water park out there. A friend or the woman who used to manage one of the facilities not too far away from where I live, she was taking her son out there. It was his birthday and there were no other kids going. So they asked if we'd be interested in going. I said, sure. You know, I'd like to take a trip with Miles every year, just me and him. And that was something I wanted to go to. In order to do that, I needed a passport. So I asked his mom to fill out the passport information. She did. She sent it over. You know, we had to go back and forth a little bit, but finally we got that worked out. You know, I got his passport. I had to call a senator to get it rushed, but they did it and I got it. And I didn't need this, but you know how you get that, you know, parents' authorization to travel letter? I didn't need it, but I asked her for it, right?
Right.
And when I wrote my new address down on it, because I hadn't told her yet that I moved, because we had just closed, she went the fuck off.
Why would she go off seeing your new address?
Rachel?
Yes.
You were intimately involved. Why don't you speak to it?
What part, David? Because there's a lot. So which part?
Yeah, so let's start from the very beginning.
What part do you remember?
It's a very good place to start. Because y'all got to realize, I'm coming into this cold.
I remember the list of things that she wanted from you. She wanted proof of address, and she gave suggestions. Your utility bill, right, David?
Wait, what? Wait,
Yes.
This is after seeing that you had to change address.
Yeah, because she wanted, I think you said she wanted you to put your new address on that document that you asked from her, right?
That is
About
correct.
letting
That is correct. I still had the
Right.
old address on
and
it.
in order for her to sign it, she wanted you to provide those things to her, right?
And what were those things? Do you remember?
It was a lease a lease, um, utility bill. She clearly said proof of address and then gave some suggestions of what she would accept.
Was it a copy of the mortgage proof also? Did she have that?
I'm not sure. She might have, yeah.
Wait, David, which one of us has ties to other countries? Which one's the immigrant kid? Wait,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, not even that. Which one in y'all situation is the immigrant kid? Like, what she think you're gonna flee the country with Miles?
But she wasn't asking about that. She was asking about the apartment. Everybody knows that this is like a premier address here in Harlem. And I think her thing was like, how did you do that? I think that's what it really was.
But even if that's the thing, right? Because my
I
man,
didn't quite understand it, to be honest.
one of my boys always tell me, Clark, stop trying to inject logic into illogical situations. But I'm gonna ask the logical question. If she's wondering how you pulled it off, right? Logically, I don't see the correlation between asking you for all these proofs of address. Oh, she's trying to say basically you ain't really got this address. Like, I don't get it.
So what we also came to the conclusion was that we were thinking that maybe she thought David was living with a woman at this new place.
Oh,
Right, David? Was that my brain or your brain? Or did we both come up with
That was your brain, Rachel. That wasn't my brain.
But see, David, like that's not even going through our minds, right? I'm not even thinking
That's
on that
what I
level.
was thinking. Like, is he living with somebody there or did he buy that himself? I'm thinking.
Oh, so she's like, oh,
I could be wrong.
so she wants proofs of address.
Because
So
why
she can
else
see
would
who
you
else
need
is on
proof
the
of
lease.
address? Yeah.
To see who else is on the lease, or see if there's somebody else on the mail.
Or to see
Like-
if he's renting as opposed to owning, I'm thinking also.
Right, but like even so, what does it matter? Yeah, once again, injecting that logic. I mean, what does it matter? Like,
What does any of that got to do with me and my son traveling to Cancun, Mexico to the Nickelodeon park? Absolutely.
right? I thought she was like she was on some shit like you trying to flee the
Wait,
country.
Clark, he's not done.
Wait, this rabbit hole goes deeper. Please continue, sir. Continue.
Are you going to tell him that part?
So then we get down there. She eventually signs off on it, right? Because the apartment that I had prior to this, I was still on that lease until the end of August. So I said, technically, this is still my address. I said, if you don't want to sign this, don't sign it. I didn't tell her I don't need it. I said, if you want to ruin this trip for Miles out of some jealousy or whatever else it is that's going on with you, then that is entirely up to you. This is what it is. I'm not asking for anything else. And eventually she signed it. So we get down to Cancun. We meet all of the people that are down there. And the woman who's hosting it there with her son and her husband says to me, oh, and yeah, I have to call and let her know we got here okay. I said, I'm sorry. So she said it once and it went right over my fucking head. I had no fucking, I was sitting there dumbfounded. And I said, call her. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? And she said, but Miles' mom, I got to call her or text her and let her know we got here okay. And I said, how would that, what are you talking about? And she says that reached out to her via text message and said, hey, I got your number off your website.
Whoa.
Let me finish what she said. She said, I got your number off your website and just wanted to let you know I'm Miles' mom. And I just, when Miles is excited about this trip, want y'all to have fun, blah, blah, blah. Please, connect or whatever else it is when y'all get there and let me know everything's okay.
So as you can hear by my stuttering, I'm like, wait, hold on. Does not compute. Because as you're telling this story, you're like, oh, and give a call. I'm thinking like, oh, this is a shared group of friends that you guys have in common.
Absolutely not.
Right, which I gathered from, I got your number from your website. So she has no ties to these people whatsoever. These are your friends.
Absolutely does not.
And why didn't she just ask you, hey, David, shoot me a text and let me know you guys are there safe?
She asked me, good point. Before we were leaving, she was like, so I need to know who y'all going with, who you're going to stay with, where y'all going to be, and all that other sort of nonsense. And I said, Miles is going away with his father. He is going to be with his father. That should be good enough. And she was not satisfied with that. She was like, yeah, but it's COVID and you taking him. I said, he's going to be with his father. I am taking care of him. When you take him someplace and he's with you, I don't question where you're going, who you're going to be with, how you're getting there, who you're staying with, and all that other sort of stuff. You are his mother, and I trust that you are going to take good care of him and do the best what's for him, and you should expect the same from me. And she decided, and this is what I think she did. I think she went to my Instagram to see who I was following because I mentioned the woman's name a while ago. And she looked for the woman's name or looked for who was following me. And then she clicked on the woman's website and then she called, that she texted her like that.
You didn't tell me that part.
Yo, like, so this goes back to, yo, my brain don't even work like that. I'm not doing that kind of detective.
So Rachel believes that she probably thought I was going away to Cancun and I was involved with this woman that I was going with, and that's why she was trying to do the check, the detective work.
I mean, that could be it too. But once again, like, because my brain don't even work like that. My brain doesn't go there.
Rachel, would your mind go that far?
No, it wouldn't go that far. Now, if I was interested in someone and I felt like, no, you know what? No, I wouldn't, because I don't want anyone that doesn't want me. So no, I would not be trying to find out what is going on in your love life. If you're seeing someone, if you bought an apartment. Me personally, no, I wouldn't have gone there.
So let's flip the paradigm just ever so slightly. And let's say it's not about being jealous. It's about, just knowing where your kid is and having oversight into where your kid is going and who they're with. Would you go that far? Would you reach out to a random parent or a random person that you thought was associated with the trip?
No, because what could that if I don't know this person, why am I more trusting of the person I don't know rather than my son's father?
That's also where the question lies for me.
Because I'm sure she knows he's very responsible when it comes to Miles. So why would I trust a complete stranger to update me on my child's whereabouts, or if he landed safely, and not contact his father that he went with? Miles wasn't going on a trip on his own, and she was contacting the trips. You know how your kids go on,
the coordinator or something.
Yeah.
Right? See, so that's my thing, right? It's like not everybody has that relationship. Some people can't trust their co-parent,
which is going to.
I don't think David.
Which is going to get us to where we're going to end up at the end of this thing in talking about insecure and that relationship.
But it still doesn't make sense, because I believe from what David has told me, and if we go back to one of your recordings with her, Clark, she says she knew David was going to be a good father and that he was a good father. So I don't know.
Right. So that's exactly my point. What it really boils down to, at least in my head, as I'm dissecting this and listening to it, it's a locus of control thing.
Could it be a little bit of sabotage?
Sabotaging what?
You and his trip.
Yeah. I don't believe that there were any good intents here whatsoever. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't believe she had any good intentions whatsoever. I think it was the idea that who is he going with? How come I don't know who he's going with? It should be us going on a family trip.
A little bit of jealousy, yeah.
Not him going with, whoever else it is. It should have been us that bought a condo together, not who he buying it or whoever else he may have bought it with. Yeah, I think it's that. That's what I don't think there is any good intent here.
So you think she's having seller's remorse?
Ooh. Look at Clark dropping a new term, seller's remorse. Listen, you know,
there's a scene in Insecure last season when Lawrence and Clark, I know you was trying to catch up, so you tell me if you saw this episode. Lawrence and Condola have broken up, and Lawrence meets up with Issa for dinner, and they start discussing their prior relationship, and Lawrence says, "I had a ring for you," and Issa's like, "You did?" And she got sad, and Lawrence says, "Oh, so now you realize that you wasn't shit." So maybe that's what.
That's a thing.
That song sounds like the woman who used to date Michael Jordan before he became Michael Jordan.
And every famous dude has that. Yeah.
So in relation to sabotage, right? That sort of sabotage has been going on non-stop since, right? So Miles' mom once mentioned to me that, she was thinking about putting Miles in karate. Do you know any programs, right? And I had been thinking about it before that. So I found a program that is literally right around the corner from me, one day on Saturdays for an hour. And I asked her, "Hey, I found something. It's on Saturdays. Are you okay with this?" And the response was yes. And we went to the first class and it was amazing. He loved it. We went to the second class. It was amazing. He loved it. Never mind the fact that when I go over there and get him Saturday morning, I got to stand downstairs for 15, 20 minutes before she actually brings him downstairs. But, fuck it, right? Fuck it.
I've been there.
The third Saturday, I get a message. "Hey, we're going to the Museum of Natural History with one of his schoolmates, so he won't be able to go." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock. The fucking museum probably doesn't even open up until 11 o'clock. You can't wait." "No, it's unavoidable. You can't go, blah, 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 blah." So he didn't go. You sure? I tried to find something for him during the middle of the week, couldn't find anything to him. And I said, "I'm just not going to keep doing this anymore because I pay for that up front."
So now you got a cash investment in him going to class, and she's just blowing it off like, "Oh yeah, he don't want to go to."
It ain't that he don't want to go. He want to go.
But now she's cross planning to prevent him from going.
Yes.
So has there been more than one instance where he missed because of her planning?
So the second time, last week, she sends me a message saying, "So Miles says he wants to go to karate, tomorrow." And I said, "Listen, I'm not going to keep doing this with you. I paid for this thing a month in advance. Why would I keep planning this thing to never know when he's going to go and when he's not going to go and all that other sort of stuff?" I said, on top of that, all the other kids that started out with him, are like, they learning more stuff, they're doing more stuff, and he's going to be behind everybody else. That's not fair. It's not fair to him. One of the kids, so you get, Clark's, he does karate, Rachel. You learn how to tie your belt. So they give you a little red, yellow stripe on your white belt or whatever else it is as they move you up in the class. Everybody else is moving forward and he's starting from ground zero. You may feel differently about it, Clark, but this sort of sporadic every now and then, no.
Right, and I'll say this, right, and that's what I was trying to gather, whether she, because of her actions, she'd missed a few classes.
This is more about control, if you ask me. What do you think, Rachel?
I think so. One thing, it was her day. You're planning stuff on her day.
But I asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you. I mean, like, think about how this works out, right? You ask, you confirm, you reassure,
pay,
and then the situation changes, right? Like, I agreed to it, but I changed my mind. Especially now, I got to jump out of bed and get him dressed to go down the stairs, and this should have been my day, right? I like, as Rachel said that on her day, my gears started turning. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can completely see that. Yeah, we weren't doing anything on our day,
But this is still my day.
But this is still my day.
How dare you plan stuff on my day?
Why ask me the following week he wants to go?
Because maybe she had something to do.
Or maybe Mom's was like, Mom, I want to go to karate.
Yeah.
Right? And now he's asking and he's making it a priority. And I should, let me just reach out to his father and make sure he can take him. I mean, this is all speculation on our parts, right? Like, we don't know what's really going on in our head, but, I think that makes sense.
You know what I think's going on in her head?
You gotta leave that part out.
Seller's remorse. That's what's going on.
What you mean, like this?
So it's just been a bunch of nonsense going back and forth. She doesn't want to do we made an agreement that she's going to do half his homework and I'll do half his homework. He gets 4 homework assignments during the week. She's saying, well, I'm not going to do half the homework assignments, even though we already agreed to it, because he's only with me on the weekends and he's with you during the week. So you should be primarily responsible for his homework, number one. And then number 2, what was the other thing, Rachel? I don't want homework.
The weekends are filled, and she doesn't want him to feel tied down to the homework because they have busy weekends. And so
she wants the weekends to be about fun, not about homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all laughing because you can see my face. I'm like, yo, but the homework got to get done.
I was telling David, I wish I was that type of person that I could just say, fuck it. I just, that I could just let my kid go to school without doing his homework. And I don't know whether she's a little bit more lenient because she knows that David is the constant and he'll make sure the homework is done. But for me, as a single mom, there was no way in the world I was going to let my kid go to school without doing his homework.
Even if it's on the weekend? Even if it's on the weekend?
Huh?
Even if it's on the weekend?
What do you mean? Even if it's on the weekend? If you get homework on Friday, when are you doing the homework? On the weekend. I made sure his homework was done at least by Saturday because I didn't want to be bothered with it on Sunday because I was already trying to get ready for the work week. So, yeah, you came home with homework on Friday.
Clark, do you think kids should do homework on the weekend, or should it just be fun and play?
No, I think homework should be done, and then you have fun and play. The homework came in on the weekend, and the shit's got to get done. Let's get it done. If you're worried about it blowing your weekend, deal with it for an hour, 2 hours, whatever.
It ain't even 2 hours long.
Right, because
they give you homework for 4 days. They give you homework for 4 days. They have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday assignment. You turn it in on Friday. I said, you do 2, whichever 2 doesn't make a difference to me, and then I'll do 2. And regularly, half of one gets done, on the regular. And the contradiction to me, right, is that, she begged and hammered to get him into this school. He's in the talented and gifted school. And it was her thing to get him in here.
So now we got to keep him in
here. You got to keep him in there, number one. But number 2, what do you think it was going to be easy? So I remember we were on the first town hall or the parent teacher conference, or they sent out an email about homework and all that other sort of stuff. And I remember getting an email from her, or a text message from her saying, David, I'm not sure about this school. It looks like they're real strict. And I thought she was talking about what time I thought she was talking about what time they had to be in the morning, versus being late and all that other sort of stuff because, she's chronically late, right? But now I say, yeah, it's about the homework. They said we get homework, and this is how often you get homework, blah, 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 blah. But the other contradiction is that when we're on a parent-teacher conference, she's uber concerned. Uber concerned. How about this? How about this? Do you think there's something that we should be paying attention to here? Do you think that there's something that maybe he needs some additional help? He starts his S's down from the bottom and he circles up to make it an S. He's writing all his letters starting down from the bottom. The E's start at the bottom and then he circles up and makes the E. Do you think he's got this? He's got that? And I'm saying to myself, nigga, you don't even want to help him with his fucking homework. How are you so concerned about what the fuck is going on in school and how he's writing and all of that sort of bullshit?
Right, because it's also about the perception, right?
Go ahead.
It's about the perception. It's my child is. It's so funny, like the twists and turns it potentially takes. It's like, my child is, depending on the makeup of the school, a black kid in this school, a young man in this school, a young black man in this school, right? Like there's so many different parents. So I have to present as an involved and educated parent.
Rachel
so
says
that my child
all the time, and I got to tell you, Rachel, you never heard me say this before, but it drives me up the wall when you say that. But go ahead, Rachel, because she says.
What do I say? Wait, what? What do I say?
She's presenting as.
No, because remember, you had said, or there was one part of the meeting where she wanted to know how the other kids were doing.
So, Rachel, it's okay to tell the truth. I recorded the meeting. Being kind. I record every fucking conversation. Fuck that. I record because no, let me tell you why. So Clark, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back a little because I remember the first time we had her on and she's saying all this shit, and I'm saying to myself, these niggas is buying this fucking bullshit. Oh my God, y'all buying this fucking bullshit. You and Ellen, y'all buying this fucking. I said, why they caping for this motherfucker? Y'all buying this shit.
So Clark, one of the things is that the teacher had said nice things about Miles.
Right.
And still she wanted, she still kept saying, well, should we be concerned about this? The teacher made it clear that Miles was on level, but I think she wanted him to be exceptional. And then she asked the teacher, in terms of all of the class, what level is Miles on? So I think she wanted him to be above. Yeah. And not only that, you children are a reflection of you. So
that's exactly it.
So why go into this thing with the teacher talking about all of his shortfalls and he's not good and should we get him help and all this other sort of stuff? And then on top of that, end it off with, and whenever Miles come home, he has these fantastic stories. I think we should write a book. How do I get him started on writing a book? You just said he can't write and he's having a problem writing backwards, but now you want him to write a fucking book. This shit don't make no fucking sense. And this is the nonsense. I'm telling you, and I told you guys this before, every day, every week, something happens. Every day.
It's true, Clark. He sends me stuff all the time.
I'm like real talk. I get it, right? Like I get it. And
she called me on Halloween and said, listen, I'm not feeling well. Could you come get Miles and take him trick-or-treating? In the background, it sounded like there was a fucking party going on.
So she partying and trying to get you to come.
It sounded like there was a fucking party going on. And she said, she texted me, I'm not feeling well. Could you come get Miles and take him trick-or-treating? I called. I guess she didn't expect me to call, and she didn't realize or remember the text she sent me saying she's not feeling well. It sounded like there was a fucking party going on. But I just wanted to see my kid anyway, so I went and got him.
Right.
So it's a whole bunch of nonsense going on. It's nonstop. And if I, at the end of the day, I decided I need therapy too.
So you're in therapy now?
I had my first intake session today.
Son,
For what?
Son,
For
no,
what?
I'm saying to you, David, that's not a big step.
Listen,
Absolutely.
That's not a big step. I'm applauding you. I'm not being facetious. I'm being a buck 10 with you. We all need that shit.
I noticed that I have been under a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety related to the job, related to everything, but everything always boils down to me for I want to be able to take care of my kid. I want to be there for my kid. I want to see my kid grow old. I want to, or old enough to take on whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Right.
I go to the doctor and I had my yearly physical, and my fucking doctor calls and he says, "Hey," so he didn't call. He sent me a text message. Right? I've been going to the same doctor 20 something years. Right? He fucking he's been jamming his finger up my ass since I was 40 years old. And I told him, this is what he says. He said, "Okay, time for your
You guys
favorite
are in
part."
love.
He said, "Time for your favorite part." This is what he says.
Right.
"Okay, time for your favorite part," right? Because it fucking drives me up the fucking wall, right? And I said, "Dude, fuck it. I've been going to the same doctor for 20 something years, right?" And he always calls and leaves a message that said, "Hey, test results fine, blah, 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 is fine, blah, 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 is fine. Good health. I wish you good health." This year, he sends a message that says, "Hey, we got some numbers back that are fucking," he didn't say fucking, but that's got some numbers back that, I want to talk to you about. Give me a call when you get a chance. I call him, and the first thing I said is, I called him. He didn't pick up. He calls him back. I said, "Oh boy, here we go. It is. Now it's all over, right? I've been on a streak. It's all fucking over." And in my head, the anxiety is, okay, my PSA is all fucking balanced. You have to cut my fucking nuts off or whatever the fuck else it is they do. Or, my what else is out there? Your colonoscopy number,
Colonoscopy's all
thing, and I'm fucking worried. And it's like stress that everything always comes back to me for taking care of my kid and being there for this fucking kid. Everything comes back to me for that. And I'm telling you, prior to having a kid, dude, I didn't give a fuck if I lost a fucking job tomorrow. My rent was fucking $500, $600, $700 a month. Who gave a fuck, right?
You live it for you.
All I had to do was take care of me, but I got to take care of somebody else, right? So
I don't ever remember worrying as much as I do until I had a child.
So to add to it, right? To add to it, Miles was in close contact with somebody. One of the kids in his class had COVID, right? So I run over to the school to get him. We went down to the doctor's office or the hospital right down the block and got a COVID test. Normally, I put him to sleep in his room, I close the door, I go in the room, I close my door, and I see him in the morning, right? But I slept with both doors open, and and early in the morning, like 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what it was, but I heard him cough. Man, I sat up so fast and got up and went in that room and see what the fuck was going on. Oh my goodness, this motherfucker's gonna be the death of me. But let's not get stuck here, right? All I'm saying is that I've been under a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety these past couple of months. It has led me to therapy, and I found a guy. I wanted somebody who was Afro-American. I wanted somebody who was a man, and I wanted somebody who was older or at my age level, so that, I'm hoping they can identify with me and what it's like to grow up, as a Black man in, this country, in America, in New York City, blah, 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 blah.
In the shared times period, right? Like having some perspective.
Yes, and I found somebody. So far, we had, the first session, and we'll see how it goes. But in speaking about what happened on this episode of Insecure, you got the chance to watch it, Clark?
Yeah, I did watch it.
Okay, what was your biggest takeaway?
So it was really interesting because I mentioned to you guys I was a little behind in it, so I didn't even know like that Lawrence and Condola were expecting this baby, right?
Lisa Rice.
Right.
Condola.
Right.
Whatever.
Condola. Right. So I turned on the episode. It's like, boom, oh, your baby's here. I'm like, yo, he found out by text. Like she didn't call him to say, like, I'm like, yo, what happened in the nature of their relationship that she's just like having the baby, and then he finds out via text, and he shows up, and everybody's giving him the stink eye. So I'm like, oh shit, right? And I'm watching, but my major takeaways as all this is going on is like, yo, it's some real petty shit that goes on between co-parents, right? Like, she's doing shit with like total blatant disregard for him. He's walking in situations like, hey, total and blatant disregard for her feelings. And it's just like, like the butting of heads that you see in real life. So that's what really hit me. It was just like, yo, that was a realistic episode.
Rachel?
So remember last season when, I don't know if you saw this episode, David, well, you might have, when she comes to tell him that she's pregnant, and she tells him she doesn't need anything, right? I'm going to do this on my own. And
exactly what she said.
And he made it clear that he didn't want a child. He was like, we're not even together. Why do you want a child? And she was like, with her first husband, she wasn't ready to have a kid, but now that she's pregnant, she's ready to do this. So anyway, so then you fast forward to Sunday's episode, and I think Lawrence had a lot of resentment towards her because he really didn't get it. And we've had this discussion, me and you, David. She didn't consider him when it came to whether she had a baby or not. And as I've said to you before, if a woman decides that she wants to have a baby, she might lead you to believe that it's a joint decision, but she has the final word. And you can't be upset with a man for being resentful. So to me, he was just showing that he was resentful about having a baby with someone that he was not with, or someone that he didn't want to have a baby with.
But he did say in that episode that I'm going to be there for my kid. I'm not just going to have no kid out here. Am I saying that true, or am I misunderstanding?
It's true, but that doesn't take away the resentment. And I think, in the season before, she was saying how she didn't need anything, and you could interact at your choice. If you want to see the baby, if you don't want to see the baby, you could be in and out. But I think she realized that that it wasn't that easy.
That's where I want to start.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
That's where I want to start.
And I think also when you're pregnant and it's scary in general, but you have these thoughts about when you do have your child, and then when you do have it, what you thought was going to be the case is not necessarily the case when the baby is out. And another thing, in my opinion, and this is how I felt as a, even though me and my son's father lived together, and I've said this before, that was my kid. That's how I felt.
That was the huge takeaway for me. That was a huge thing for me. Like when he came to get the baby, and she was like, "Oh no, he's not going with you."
Yeah.
And she changed her mind.
Yeah. Or even at the party when she was like, "Give me my baby." I felt that before. I felt that.
But Rachel, so that you can say that as to a man who's like in and out or not fully involved, or you are the full-time parent or whatever else it is. Do you think you can say that to a man who is equally involved as you are?
So
I don't know how that feels.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm thinking.
Wait. Say it again, Rachel.
I don't know how that feels.
You don't know how it feels. Okay, so that's fair. All right.
So, because I was thinking along the lines of of the couple in Insecure, right? They are just now beginning this process together. So she's already setting the precedent that your opinion doesn't matter. You were not informed. You were informed via text when your kid was born. You weren't allowed the opportunity or the choice to be in the delivery room.
Right.
The christening and all the decisions regarding the child's spiritual path were decided by you and your family. Everything that's just going on is just like, he is, as a father, is an afterthought in the process, right? And he's trying to interject himself like, hey, I'm not here trying to be a weekend dad. I'm not here trying to be a half-assed dad. I want to be involved in these processes, and I want to be involved in the decisions because this is my kid. In her head, she could absolutely be like, oh, that's my kid. That's my child. And, I see a lot of moms who say that. Hell, I've even gotten into it with my ex-wife where she goes, oh, I carried them for 9 months. I said, who carried them for every year after that? When we go somewhere, they were in my arms. I'm carrying two or all three of them at a time.
Can I say something?
Go for it, man.
If I'm going to go back to the part where she says that she don't need nothing from you, that she's good with this. If you realize that that's not true anymore, and you do need something from him, be it time, whatever else it is, say that.
Yeah.
Say that. Say, listen, I know I told you that this is my baby. I'm good. I don't need no help, whatever else it is. But the truth of the matter is, if I think back on it
I'm
now,
struggling.
I'm
Yeah.
struggling. Even with my sister here, whatever else it is, I'm struggling, right? And I would appreciate it, like if you could, step in a little bit more. That's where I start, right? But first of all, couldn't nobody tell me I don't need nothing from you when it comes to me and my kid, right?
Right.
You couldn't came to so if you are within 30 days of having my baby, I'm not going less than I'm not going within a 30-minute run from you. I'm just not. That's that's how I'm living. Even if I had a
But
job.
he was living in another town. He was
I know the baby's coming. If I know the baby's coming within the next 30 days, I'm going to have to tell this job, listen, I got a kid coming. I need y'all to understand this. I need to be over here for the next 30 days at least to see what the fuck happens out. I just do.
No, I believe you would, David.
Yeah. Yeah. And y'all know my story. I was on my way to a white party.
You had to do that.
Well, I was on my way to a white party, so I was fucking up the event, right? But so the other thing,
March. No, April.
In March, snow on the ground. There was snow on the April.
Snow on the ground.
There was still snow on the ground. I got pictures. There was snow on the ground. But I was on my way to an all white party
in April, right? March. When is he born?
April 10th.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing when she says about, well, first of all, I'm going to back up for one. Her sister needs to mind her fucking business.
But isn't a lot of sisters are like that?
Listen, she feel like she's looking out for her sister.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, but she's not being honest with her sister. You told her you didn't need anything. Did you tell your sister? Well, I told him in the beginning I ain't need nothing from him.
But how honest are people? Like, people aren't even honest with themselves. Son.
That's my point. That's my point. She's not being honest with herself.
A buck 10. Like how many of these conversations have we had with our sister podcasts and their listeners, and they're like, oh, my baby daddy ain't shit. We've had guests on, right? Who come on and be like, oh, my baby daddy ain't shit. He don't want nothing to do with our son. Yeah, and then when you ask the deeper questions, no, we weren't in a relationship. No, we were just kind of hanging out. No, I told him I didn't want kids either. But when I got pregnant, I changed my mind. All right, but that's not what you led up with, right? That's not the conversation you guys had. That's not the agreement you had. And then now I got this kid. He don't want nothing to do with the kid.
That doesn't excuse the dude, though. That doesn't excuse the dude, though. I'm not.
Listen, I'm not saying
whatsoever.
What I'm saying is this, right? It's a situation where even if it doesn't excuse him, you got to be honest with yourself with the circumstances that things happen under.
All I'm trying to say is that neither one of them are innocent in this. So
no, not at all.
So yeah, she's not telling her sister, the truth. I don't think she told her sister the truth about what she didn't want this Lawrence involved. I think she's misstepped. And I want to talk to you about the giving them solids, right? So for me, right, I don't know if he knew in advance that she didn't want him having solids, but I don't need to win that fight, right? If you say you don't want him having solids, you know what I'm saying, and this ain't hurting him, in no manner or form, I don't really care that much, to need to win that. Rachel?
But she never told him. She never told him that. Why are you not telling him about your child's milestones? If you're saying that he's, showing, he's showing up here and there. Why are you not having these conversations?
What with the solids?
Like,
Right?
hey, Ja is eating solids now, or she didn't tell him. Why is she mad at him about something that she did not tell him about?
Because I think the argument with the solids thing wasn't it that that the doctor said we can introduce solids. She said, "Oh, I want to wait until such and such time," and he just happened to be at the table. He was like, "Oh, I give him a little piece of this," and he seemed to be fine.
But I don't think she said that to him at first.
Yeah, I don't think she actually said it to him.
She said it to him at the time that he came.
Like she was planning to, yeah.
Yeah.
If she would have said to me, I don't want to give him solids yet. Why are you giving him solids? I would have said, my bad. Here you go. Take them.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like, you talk about emotional intelligence, right? And Lawrence in this episode, he's completely lacking emotional intelligence. He is like, and I can see, right? Like,
but he's a bit of a shitbag too, though, Clark. No.
Well, yeah. Because he's in his own head and his own feelings and his own shit, right?
No, he's a shitbag. No, he's a shitbag.
Why is that, David?
He had the chance to make a flight. The thing went off that said flight to LA, and he ignored it and sent her a message saying, "I'm not going to make it work." Work was already over. He just didn't go.
Right.
Yeah, he was exhausted. He said.
And I say, like, see that was a shitbag move, but keeping on topic, right, and keep it on the situation with the food, right, or introducing solids. It's him going, "You're not going to block me out," right, and that's the problem that we get into as co-parents. It's no longer about the kid; it's about the ego. It's you're not going to tell me not to give my kids solids.
If you are showing up when you're supposed to showing up and not pressing snooze when the thing pops up that says it's time for your flight and all that other sort of stuff, then from where I sit, you can say that. But when you press snooze, and when you press snooze and zag, fuck it, I don't feel like going down there this week, I'll go next week, then you don't have the right to say that.
Right, but I'll say this, right? Like that's a shitty move. Right, it's a shitty move, and that's for people who are dialing it in and phoning it in. But also looking at the lead up to that, like from the second that kid was born, he was an afterthought anyway. Right? Yeah. She treated him like an afterthought. Should he show up? Should he continue to show up? Absolutely. Right?
Because at one point in the TV show, he said they were discussing names, so they were talking.
Right.
And he was upset about her naming the child Elijah
Mustafa. Right.
But they were talking because he said so. It wasn't like he was just in San Francisco and not checking up on her. You know what I'm saying? They were conversating. So I think it was more of, this is my baby, and I'm going to do what I want with my baby.
So
I think that's common. I want
to hit on that real quick, but I want to touch on two more notes. What about going to the party together? She reached out to him to say, "Let's go to this. Do you want to go to this thing together?"
I don't see anything wrong with them going to the party together as co-parents.
Rachel?
For me, I think there was a motive behind the invite.
I agree.
Yeah, I think there was.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah. She could have been like, "Oh, let me feel him out and see how this goes."
But Rachel, because are you going anywhere? Let's start here. Are you going anywhere with your son's father? Are you going
this current 2021?
The son you have now, Rachel. Yeah, that's son. Yes.
My son's father in 20. Am I going anywhere with him now? Are you talking about
the year before?
Y'all have been split for 15 years, right?
So yeah, but so remember, David. So we used to go places together, and I know I had moved here. And remember this story, David. I'm gonna tell this story.
We're gonna talk about the condoms. You're gonna do it because I was gonna pull it out of you. I was gonna pull it out of you.
You're gonna pull the condoms out of her? What the hell?
Yes, let's go. I'll pull
What
up.
kind of party did I walk into?
I'm not. No, go ahead, Rachel. It's your floor. Go.
Like I told you, you guys before, I had broken up with him before I moved to New Jersey in 2011, and when I broke up with him and moved here, he was very consistent about coming and seeing his son. But I believe the motive was that he thought there would be a chance for me and him. Once I let him know that there was never a chance for me and him, the visits came, farther and farther apart. But anyway, he calls me on the phone. He didn't have a car at this time, and he calls me on the phone and he uses my son as an excuse. It was May, my son's birthday was coming up, and he was like, I want to take to, I can't remember the place, it's in Laurel, New Jersey. It's a water park, but indoor. He was like,
time?
Maybe, what are you in, he might've been in the 3rd or 4th grade.
Go, keep going.
Okay, so he calls me on the phone. He tells me, I'm going to send you. He was like, listen, we can stay in a hotel and, I'll pay for everything. So at the time I had told my mother this story. Yeah, I told my mom, and she said, oh, poor he's barking up the wrong tree. And I said, no, Ma, I don't think so. I said, we don't even flirt. There's none of that going on because I'm not even interested. David, take the smirk. So
Get to it.
So anyway, my mom's like, oh, poor thing. He is just, but anyway. So I make the reservation. He zells me the money. I make the reservations and all of this other stuff. So we go to the water park, they, all on the rides and all of that other stuff. And so what I do is it's time for check-in. So I tell him, I'm leaving. I'm going to go take the stuff and check into the hotel. Okay. So I get to the hotel, I go upstairs, I check in, I go upstairs, and I had bought myself some liquor, right? So I went back to the car to get my liquor. But I didn't have any, I had already brought my bag upstairs, so I didn't want to walk through the lobby with a bottle of liquor. So I see his little bag, and so I flip it open and I get ready to put the liquor into the bag, and he has a pair of underwear, deodorant, a pair of socks, and in how many condoms? 4 yellow condoms, lifestyle. So I said, this motherfucker think he gonna fuck me today? This is what I say to him. But then I said, no, he might have had that in his bag for one of his other, you know what I'm saying? That's what I said. There's no way this man thinks that I'm having sex with him, but that's what he had in the car, in his bag.
All right, because I will say this, right? I have my travel bag, like I have a book bag, Brooklyn dude. I
like that type of person.
But I got a book bag.
Stop it.
No, listen, I'm saying, I got my book bag.
Here we go.
Listen, Clark, he stopped in the bodega in Brooklyn and got the 4, and he might have took one of those little pills that they sell behind the counter. Who knows? But listen, Clark, we go to dinner. Listen, I didn't tell you.
Go ahead. So you go to
dinner.
We
go to dinner. And guess what he orders?
Oysters.
Yes.
Okay. He was trying to fuck. he was trying to spat. Yo, like, man, listen.
Y'all got to start. Just stop. So listen. I want to talk. About 2 more things, right? 2 more things.
Go ahead.
Which I think was, sort of more asshole-ish or shitbaggish of Lawrence, where he says to his friend, "I'm a good dude. I'm trying to be there for my kid. Other dudes would have bounced." That is a shit line. That is a shit line. And I'm so tired of hearing people say that shit. I'm so tired of hearing dudes say that shit. That is a shit line. I'm here for my kid. I'm taking care of my kid. Other dudes with a bounce. I'm doing the right thing. That shit is fucking bullshit. I'm so sick of hearing that.
You don't get a badge.
It's not bullshit if you're actually there for your kid, but you as the person who that shit is coming out your mouth, you gotta stop and think, where's that coming from? If you gotta stand up,
it's not bullshit if you're actually taking care of your kid. What are you talking about?
Right. So what I'm saying is this, because you taking care of your kid, if you gotta stand up and go, I'm taking care of my kid. Everybody else would have bounced. Now, where's it coming from? Right? Is that it's at the core of this entire episode. It's ego shit, right? And Lawrence's ego is out of control. I think absolutely, like Lawrence did not show his best self at all in that episode. I think both of them. She was exhibiting a lot of fear, a lot of selfishness. Because I'm like, yo, there's been a lot of times in my life where I've been fucking fatigued, and I'm like, yo, the kids away from me, I gotta go. Because your kids don't give a fuck about your fatigue level. And Lawrence chose this shit. He sat there and he's like, oh man, that was a long call. That was longer than I expected. Motherfucker, you got a ticket already. Your bag is packed. All you gotta do is drag your ass to the airport.
If there was some pussy at that airport, he'd have made his way over there. Rachel.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I'm taking care of my kids. I'm a good dude. Other dudes would have bounced.
You don't get credit for things that you're already supposed to be doing, you know? Like, so what? You might be taking care of your kid. You're supposed to be taking care of your kid. And what somebody else is not doing have to do with you? And the baby is not that old. How old is the baby? Maybe 3 months at this point? Calm down. You got 18 more years of this. You're really not that great at it at all in the very beginning. And like I said, I don't think either one of them showed themselves in a good light in terms of co-parenting. I think that Condola might still have feelings for Lauren, and that might be driving what she's doing.
All right. So I want to jump to this point. We've been on for a little bit, but you talked about it. Clark talked about it. The give me my baby. Give me my baby. And in the beginning, when the child is still nursing or whatever else it is, chances are I ain't going to argue with a woman about nothing as long as, she's nursing and not giving my kid tainted milk. Right. And, my kid is growing and latching and all that other sort of stuff. Right. But I went through this on the trip to Cancun. The woman who was hosting the event, when she mentioned that she had reached out to her and that, she had to give her a call back or send some pictures or whatever else it is, says, because we sat down at dinner and we talked about this. Like it was an intense discussion. And I was like, but he's here with his father. And she kept saying things like, but as a mother, I understand, because as a mother, I said, so what are you saying? That as a father, I don't understand that when she takes him and goes to, Pennsylvania, or, when he was a couple of months old, she took him on a flight and went out to San Francisco to visit her friends or whatever else it is, or all this other sort of places they went that I don't question. Are you saying that as a father, are you saying that moms trump dads? And I'm saying, I'm sorry, I think that's antiquated. He's my son. This is my son, and that may not mean much, to you, but that has a significant meaning to me. This is my son, my boy, if it was my girl, this is my daughter, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry. I know I asked you, Rachel, earlier, if there was a man who was as involved, as me, do you think that you could say the same thing? And you said you haven't been in that experience.
I don't know what that feels like, but I was going to ask you about the woman that you were talking about that you went on the trip with. Was she
and by the way, I just want to be clear to anybody who's listening, there were like 12 of us down there. Miles and the other kid were the only 2 kids. The reason I went with them is because her son needed somebody to play with, and I was thinking about taking Miles someplace anyway, so this was just it. But go ahead.
So do you think, even though she was married,
$1,000 later, go ahead.
even though she was married, and has a husband, do you think the husband is as hands-on with the boy, or was she the one doing? Because I can, even though I was living with Makai's dad, I still had that feeling that this is my kid.
Because you were the most hands-on?
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. So maybe she's speaking from that part, of the fact that she's the one who's always doing stuff. And if you go back in time, it was always the mom who was doing everything. Now dads evolve and be hands-on, but that wasn't always the case.
So it's interesting, right? Because there is that preconceived societal notion that mom takes precedence,
right?
And here's why I think like the reasoning is askew, because even if you are the more hands-on parent, that doesn't necessarily mean that the other parent is incompetent or incapable. Because realistically, when my daughters were younger and when they were born, their mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
So she was the one who was there with them, setting routines and taking care of them on a day-to-day basis, because I was out working. That doesn't mean that when I was home, I didn't get involved in taking care of them, and I didn't have the capability of taking care of them, because I've had a hand in raising kids for as long as I can remember.
What if I felt that you were incapable?
But that's your perception. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the reality. Doesn't mean I'm a less capable parent than she is. Absolutely not.
Someone can be less responsible. I know between me and my son's father, he was not responsible when it came to,
Right. And but it's also the perception of responsibility. Like, if there's gross negligence, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If you're upset because he doesn't take your son's socks off before he puts him to bed, that's another thing, right?
She's upset. No. She's upset because he doesn't put a coat on him when he takes him to school in the middle of the winter.
And I'll tell you what's the other crazy thing. Like, up here, that's a cultural thing. Like, little boys once they hit high school, they don't wear coats.
No, he was little.
Yeah. I'm saying up here, that's a thing.
Yeah, no, it's here too. I see.
Clark trying to make a way. Look at Clark trying to make a way. He didn't have a coat on, Clark. It was cold outside.
No, listen, my kids are not going outside without a coat, but I'm saying it's absolutely a thing, especially for little boys.
I see it now. I see teenagers with shorts on.
Oh yeah, basketball shorts on.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Here it actually starts depending, maybe
a teenager coming outside. A teenager coming outside with basketball shorts on and flip-flops and socks in the middle of the winter is different than the parents sending them outside like that.
Right.
Bro, I'm telling you, little boys walking to school, little boys on the school bus, elementary, maybe 5th, 6th grade when they can start dressing themselves. And
Clark, the dad sent him there like that. The dad
I know what it is.
He ain't talking about what the kid did on his own and snuck out the house. Dad sent him there like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to wrap up. Rachel, any closing thoughts?
Regarding parenthood?
Yes. Co-parenting.
Well, David, it's still a struggle for me, even at my son being 18 and in college, because, I'm not going to try to go over, but, recently I came to you about how I felt like, my son's father was pitting me and my against each other. So it's still at 18, even though lives in my home and his dad is still there in Brooklyn, we still have moments where, we don't really talk, which means that there's no co-parenting going on. So I can't give any advice because I need help because I'm not a good example of co-parenting. Yeah. So
Clark? Overall, co-parenting isn't easy, man. It's not easy at all. And I think, especially like if we reflect on the episode, you're dealing with two people who are learning to co-parent, and learning how to put the pieces together. Lawrence, this being his first kid, Condola, how the hell you pronounce it? Condola.
Rice.
Condoleezza.
Condola, her having to learn how to move with this dude and be inclusive of Lawrence. It's a learning process. And sometimes that learning process takes years. Sometimes we don't learn it.
So,
We're going to pray for you, David.
Listen, Rachel, you said this a while ago, right? Sometimes I'm good for somebody saying something and I be like, fuck you and the horse you rode in on, and not giving a fuck how you feel about the fact that I said it or who you go show it to. I'm getting to a place, or I think I'm getting to a place where, so I don't know. I have nothing to offer. I'm going to stop there. No, because I'm.
It's an uphill battle.
It's a work in progress.
Listen, fuck that. It ain't no fucking work in progress. Sometimes you can do all the fucking work you want, and your boss will never give you a fucking raise. So it could just be, you're just doing the work because you're doing the work, and nothing ever comes from the other side. That's absolutely possible.
It absolutely is possible, but sometimes you're doing the work not for the other side, but for your own growth, right?
Clark, that ain't news. That ain't news.
That's what I'm saying.
Fucked up. You're still dealing with somebody who's fucked up. Who wants to go to
so what can you do? Up? Right. So the only like it's wild because like this is a conversation like I had with my kids recently, and I said, yo, sometimes you are in a situation with somebody who is so fucked up, right? That there's no reasoning. The only variable you can control is yourself. And you make provisions and you make decisions based on what you can control or around that person. And the only situation in life where you are inextricably bound in that way is co-parenting.
Yeah.
Co-parenting, or maybe your siblings or parents when you're young, because you can't really escape them. And so you can look at that other person and go, yo, they're fucked up. And you could go, all right, I know they're fucked up. I can let them drag me down with them and drag me to the lowest common denominator and raise my blood pressure. Or I can operate around them.
My blood pressure is just fine. I don't know what you're talking about. My blood pressure is just fine.
Listen, my shit began to rise a few years before the pandemic.
Your shit gets it right because you don't tell nobody to go fuck yourself every now and then. Every now and then you gotta tell somebody to go fuck yourself.
But I said it's a now and again situation.
Let me tell you something. Fucking scammers sent me some fucking bullshit. Your fucking Chase bank card has been we've detected fraudulent activity. You should click here so that we can update your password. I responded, I will click here right after I fuck your mother. Or maybe you should go fuck your mother. And I feel great about it. I feel great about sending that.
Yo, and like I said, you said now and again, right? I describe it to people like this. I said, I have enough of my father in me that I have a very high tolerance and a high threshold. And I have enough of my mother in me that when it's time for you to go fuck yourself, it's time for you to go fuck yourself, right? And I think that it's about finding that balance. It's about finding that balance and going, like I'm not gonna let anybody drive me fucking nuts, because one the handful of people who can lived under this roof with, right?
It's hard to.
It absolutely is, right? Because you think about somebody who is your co-parent.
Wait. So hold on, Rachel. Tell a story about driving your car through his house. Go ahead.
What?
No, we gotta wrap up.
Rachel, you gotta come back and tell some stories. We just have a Rachel hour.
I didn't do it, but I told my therapist that I wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah. Listen,
Clark, call to action. Call to action,
ladies, gentlemen, and consenting adult. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Single Dad Why You Mad podcast. We are everywhere that you can listen to podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. We are out on social media, particularly on Instagram. So make sure that you like, you subscribe, You share with your friends. You spread the word. David, anything you want to add?
It's single dad, why you mad? Not single dad, why am I mad? Rachel?
Single dad, why you mad?
Single dad, why you mad? Single dad, why you mad?
Single dad.
Why are you mad?
Single dad. Why you mad?
Single dad, why you mad? Single dad, why you mad?
Single dad. Why you mad?